back at the Bell Center. We'll enjoy Simple Plan here for a moment. Multiple Juno Award winner, Simple Plan, with the commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman. And Gary, at the NHL Awards, it's always a challenge. Go rock and roll or go smooth jazz. What'd you think of that?
I'm 60s rock, although Simple Plan's great, although I'm not sure I can hear you. It may be a function of age, which means if I'm not answering your question, it's not intentional.
Oh, yeah, like it'll be the music. Are you going to Vegas, by the way, with the awards?
We're working on it. It's a possibility. It isn't done yet. When it is, you'll be the first to know.
Okay, listen, you've spoken to the board, to the media, and you've painted a pretty optimistic, pretty rosy picture. Why don't you take the floor for a minute and explain why?
Well, I think a realistic picture. When I get asked how we're doing this season in light of the economic downturn, what I say is we're doing okay. We were projecting more growth than we're actually going to have, but we're still going to have real economic growth of between 5 and 6%, which in this economic climate is amazing. Part of it may be because a lot of our selling was done before the season started. Part of it may be the strength of the game and how terrific our fans are, but we're having a strong season. For purpose of the cap, the computations may be a little bit different because the Canadian dollar is down, and that's why all the talk about a big escrow has nothing to do with the revenues. It has more to do with the cap having gone up so quickly and salaries increasing relative to the revenues.
How concerned should we be in Canada about that Canadian dollar differential?
The system accounts for it. In other words, when the Canadian dollar comes down, what we charge the Canadian clubs and the cap actually factors that into account. So it all seems to balance out. Going back to your question is, while we're doing okay this year, nobody has any idea in any business what's going to happen next year, and we have to be cautious. We have to be careful, we have to be mindful of our expenses, but the first indication, I think, of how we may be likely to do will come when we start selling playoff tickets.
That $16 million spread in the salary cap, do you have the chance to reopen with Paul that particular issue? Because it is a problem right now. Let's say it's 53, 54 million next year. It goes down marginally. I don't think the players would opt to increase it by 5%, or have you talked to Paul about that? They could take it, if that were the figure, they could take it up as high as 58.
I actually didn't get everything you were saying. The point is, the spread at 16 million we think is enough for everybody to be competitive. Whether or not we could shrink the spread, that's something that we should probably talk about. At one point in time, we did have those discussions with the union.
So you could actually do that, though, right now. You could go to the...
We could do anything with mutual agreement. But the union just decided not to reopen, which I think is a good thing. I'm not surprised by it. We believe the system is working well. And obviously, the players have endorsed it for the second time.
Just to be clear, when the cap is now up at 56,
right.
For the floor, it's 72% of the ceiling, which is a lot of money.
Well, 16 million less.
Right, right.
Well, no, but there's a lot of revenue sharing. We have some teams that in revenue sharing might get as much as $17 million. So if you take that off the 40 million minimum, that means you're really only paying 23.
So explain to us that whole deal about, say, Nashville or Phoenix, if they have to do it, not necessarily papering the house, but buying their tickets to get up to qualify.
I don't know where these stories come from. They're not papering their house. Nashville and Phoenix, to the best of my knowledge, haven't been doing anything that's inappropriate. And if they were, we wouldn't let them. We wouldn't let it count.
So if they were buying their own tickets to an extent to fraudulently qualify?
Well, we wouldn't let them do something to qualify, purely to qualify. Although there are lots of opportunities to do business at fair market value I'm not saying they've done that, but for example, if you owned another company and you were buying tickets to service that company and you were paying what anybody in the marketplace could pay for those tickets, there's no reason not to count that as revenue. But that's not what's going on in any of those markets.
Okay, Phoenix, you are helping them out right now. The word is that you have an owner in line if Glendale will reopen the lease and change the dynamics of that. Is that true?
Well, I think that's an oversimplification. Phoenix needs a capital infusion, either in terms of some new minority partners or even somebody buying the whole club. No secret to that. How attractive the franchise will be for potential new capital infusion may depend on what the lease looks like. The current lease is not particularly attractive.
Do you have an owner right now lined up to buy if you can get a change of
There
lease?
are lots of people we're talking to. It's a little premature. You don't sell franchises overnight.
Can you continue to sustain Phoenix by helping them out to qualify?
Well, the only thing we've done so far is advance the franchise monies to which they'd otherwise be entitled, but haven't yet had the opportunity to receive. So we're, revenue sharing, distributions from the league, from national television. We're simply advancing a little earlier monies that they're going to get anyway.
I'd love to see hockey in Phoenix. I'd like Wayne Gretzky's team to succeed, but it seemed like David Stern here, buddy, he looked at Vancouver, the northern frontier of their experiment, said it's not working, gone to Memphis.
What worked and didn't work for basketball, what worked and didn't work for Vancouver, isn't necessarily the same as what's happening in Phoenix.
It's not a philosophical difference. Can you explain why he took that approach to look at the market as not working?
You'd have to ask him. I believe that relocation is only a matter of last resort. It's not fair to fans to let them invest financially and emotionally in our game and then turn our backs on them. The only time you do that is if you have absolutely no choice and you've explored all of your options.
The last thing on that, of course, is the ball silly question comes up every time. It just seems like such a no-brainer when he offered $240 million to get him in there to the rescue, but of course he'd have to move the team to Canada.
I don't want to personalize this. I never really talk about Jim. The times I've dealt with him have been cordial and pleasant. The fact is, the two franchises he pursued, he bailed out on.
Now, the Datsuk-Lidstrom ruling, Gary, I know that's a difficult one. I can fully understand why you want Nick Lidstrom and Pavel Datsuk to honor the selection to be here. But you can surely see why it paints them as selfish. All the fans who are with you on this are saying, yeah, that's right. They're greedy. They're not considerate. They're not responsible. It's a bad thing to do to them.
Let's not overstate that or condemn them. First of all, the Focus All-Star Weekend should be all the players who are here and are giving of themselves all weekend to partake in events and really connect with the fans. We had 3 players who are apparently injured. Sid Crosby is here. He was here all weekend. He did everything that the All-Stars did except play, and that's what you're supposed to do. Being here when you're invited to be an All-Star, in addition to being an honor, isn't an option. It's what you're required to do. And if Pavel Datsuk and Nick Lidstrom, great players, good guys who I admire, had come for the weekend, there wouldn't be a question about their injury. But if you're injured enough to miss this weekend, it stands to reason you probably should have either missed the game before or the game after at minimum, simply because you can't just get injured for this game. This is important to the league and to our fans as well.
But if they have like tennis elbow and you need the rest, you can understand.
You know what? There are lots of times you can rest. By the way, you can come and participate in the activities the way Sid Crosby did and not play. That's one of the options, but your option isn't to just not come to the weekend.
Unless you need a treatment specific to the area that you're in. The other thing is the compromising of that game Tuesday night. The show gets compromised a little, and it goes without saying the points are up for grabs.
It wasn't our decision. The players could have come.
No, but I'm saying now that you've decided to not have...
It's no different.
That game could decide a playoff berth.
It might, but everybody's responsible for the consequences of their own actions. And frankly, when a player does something, and we're not talking about supplementary discipline here, but when a player gets suspended and he costs his team, it happens. That's the way it goes.
Any thought to just finding the organization versus going after the player?
No, I think it's important for everybody to understand that it's important for the players to be here.
Should have given you more time on this, but just a
No,
overall blush statement
we
on
spent more than enough time on this.
on fighting. No, I was going to say about fighting. You know that's the hot button topic around. So give us a quick synopsis of whether you've changed your position 16 years ago.
It's been part of the game, as you know, forever. I don't envision it based on everybody I talk to that it's going to be out of the game. But I do think we need to look at the rules of engagement, of how a fight starts, helmets, visors, takedowns, what exactly goes on that may better protect players who get involved in a fight, because their safety is our paramount concern.
Nice show here. Congratulations on that.
It's always good to be with you, and say hi to Graves for me.
Sends his love. Commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman. Our coverage will continue from the All-Star Game 2009 edition at the Bell Center in Montreal.